All right, we are Financial Essentials. I'm Mark Stallsmith. I'm here with a couple of my good buddies from Georgia. Why don't you introduce yourselves?
Thank you. Go ahead, Matt.
I'm Matt Joins with Legacy Advisory Partners. We're an advisor in Georgia.
Russ, Clemmer, Legacy Advisory Partners. And sometimes people mistake us for the Step Brothers.
Oh, I can see that.
You may have seen us on our podcast doing some episodes around the 401k Cowboys.
Yes.
Really lame, but really fun.
Yes, the cowboy hats. I'm going to have to be finding out where you get those because I think I need one.
Yeah.
But today's topic, we were going to talk about business succession planning. Mm-hmm. We each have had some cases recently, and we've been working on them together because great minds should work together. And businesses are having a lot of difficulty in this. So why don't you guys start by what challenges do you see business owners have when it comes to deciding for a successor and then going through the process?
Yeah. We did a few projects and we started seeing some trends. We put those trends in a book called Collaboration Effect on Profit, Overcoming the Founder Syndrome.
I actually read it.
You did?
I did.
Yeah.
It's
You can also pick it up on Audible if you'd rather listen to it. But we outlined some of those questions, some of those issues, and the most common objections to an owner actually putting a plan together that's reasonable, that serves both an emergency situation and a long-term situation, and communicating it clearly to all of the right people that need to be aware of it.
Ooh, so Matt, what if they have to communicate to a family member that they're not the right choice?
Very difficult. Yeah, all aspects of the business, just like family planning. I mean, it can be very emotional, and it's difficult to make some of those decisions without some strategy. So we try to peel back the onion as much as we can, like get down to strategy, make it objective as much as possible, and try to help them understand. And maybe the family member that's not a good fit, make them have that decision. Mm-hmm. You don't want to be telling them that they're going to receive it in a different way. If they come to that own conclusion themselves, it's a totally different conversation.
So there's a big difference between those that could lead an organization versus those that could manage the organization. That's not necessarily, in fact, I found it's not the same person usually. Do you have any real big success stories, just briefly, that you could say where the family member realized they weren't the great successor?
Yeah, really that comes down to painting an accurate picture of the right roles of leading. Mm-hmm. And so if your talents and skills are to lead in this particular area, you may have a great leadership position, but understanding what a CEO does, understanding what a president does, and depending on the size of the company, it can be vastly different things. And so if you have a technically sound company where you have to be an expert in that technical field, you may not be the president because you're not that particular function. You might be a chief storyteller. You might even be a CEO if the CEO is shaking hands and attending events and promoting and telling that story. That may be a good place for you, but not the technical side.
Well, this becomes a reality for a mechanic or a family-run store shop or anything along those lines. I know in talking with my own kids, the first two oldest had no interest in the financial world whatsoever. And the third had a passion for it, but we were so utterly careful that we didn't want to push him because of being in this industry. I've seen families just assume Billy Bob's going to be taking over the business and that's it. That's his career path. Mm-hmm. Billy Bob might want to be a school teacher.
Right.
Then the conflict happens.
You get into that area of parents deciding for their kids, and it just happens to be in this situation a business owner decision. So the dad, who's the business owner, puts his dad hat on and says, "No, this is the best thing for you. What school you go to, what sports you play, what position you play on the baseball field, all of those things that dads and parents, moms too, can start making for their kids when they need to stop making those decisions for their kids, teach the kids how to make the decisions. It bleeds over into, oops, we have a family business, and they keep going in that direction.
And then it causes friction both in the family and the business because, the kid is kind of living the family's dream, not really theirs. They're not going to manage the business and lead the business with the same passion and dedication that the previous generation is because they're doing this for somebody else. They're not doing it for themselves. And sometimes they can fool themselves and, become good enough, but they're still kind of living a lie, if you will. But it doesn't lead to successful, long-term, generational businesses.
And there are the usual product things to talk about, which that wasn't really the purpose for this, but we would probably be remiss if we didn't list them because a lot of folks that might be listening to this that have a business are wondering how to go about succession planning, are going to hear phrases that they have biases against, like the 6 business killers. What if you get disabled? Duh. Well, where does that income come from? What are the other product lines that people don't like to hear about when it comes to succession planning?
Yeah, nobody likes to talk about dying themselves. So why would I buy life insurance if I'm not even going to be here?
And yet it's such an integral. How does the next generation afford to help mom live or dad live with the loss of that primary business owner? Where do the funds come from? What are the structures that you guys have seen?
Yeah, that's really our role. Like nobody wants to talk about that stuff, but as the advisor, I think that's our role is we have to get them comfortable or at least get them to the point where they can walk through it to make those decisions. Let them focus on the best case scenario, dreaming big and doing all that. We need to put safeguards and stuff in place. We need to be protecting in case that doesn't work out. So,
see, when people hear these products, they immediately think you're trying to sales. There are salespeople for insurances. There's no doubt.
Sure.
We're absolutely not talking about that. This is not something you buy as a product. This is I want to solve a problem that I cannot save enough money to do. What do I do then? And there's right answers and wrong answers. And every case is different. Would you agree with dozens and dozens of cases we've handled?
Yeah, I mean, you get into a situation where the business owner has saved well. They have set the company up to have a large and adequate emergency cash or liquidity cushion. They've done some things where insurance may or may not actually be part of that planning solution. They may only have the communication issue. They've been smart. Somebody has helped them plan really well, but they don't know how to communicate it to the next generation or whoever that next person is, prepare for that. We would say most of our conversation before you ever get to what's enough from a financial planning perspective.
Don't start with the solutions.
Right. The insurance piece is helping them clarify their goals. What do you need, right? Emotionally, what do you need out of this? Where does your family legacy story? What is it right now? Where would it be depending on the different options you have been presented with? If you die today, what pieces would absolutely fail, and what would that mean for your family legacy? So digging into some of those things, you start to get the story, which is what everybody wants.
Well, you would think
you plug in some of those other.
You would think
solutions.
Business owners would have their wills and power of attorneys and succession documents, and yet I think I've run into 1 out of every 10 that have actually done this, and they claim they have a financial advisor, but excuse me, but shame on them. You don't. You have somebody that sold you something.
You got a stockbroker.
Yeah, mutual fund sales, stockbroker, whatever. Someone put in a little retirement plan and they didn't really do anything to help. It's not about how much you earn, is it? It's more what you keep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, developing the plan. You got to have the goal, you got to have the strategy, and if you're busy focusing on your business, which you should be, as the owner, as the person who's driving with the passion, with the vision, all that, we don't really expect you to necessarily be doing that for yourself. So it's pretty common, that we run across people that their house, themselves personally, their house isn't in order because they're so focused on the business.
Right.
And a lot of times they'll lose sight of really what they're doing. Like it's not just a job to them. Like it becomes a member of the family, and they might forget how they're going to exit. How do we turn this into actual cash? How do we turn this into other things? Just because they're so focused on what they're doing here, you really need somebody to come alongside and kind of help ask those questions.
This is a very emotional process. I mean, some of them I've sat with, I've seen tears, anger outburst. These are usually the business that the gatekeeper, the original creator, the founder, actually was controlling things to too high of a degree and decided the pathway for everybody. And that goes for employees too. They decided the pathway for them if they didn't have children involved in the business. Have you ever had the conversation? The emotional process and the babysitting of that is not really where salespeople have strength. So how have you guys been able to develop? What caused you to have such an empathy for the business owners and their families? Was there a process where you just magically wired this way? What did it for you?
Yeah, we started down this road about a decade ago, and we have the firm has a strong executive benefits history. Mostly large corporations, institutional environments where there's a professional level of leadership within the company, C-suite leadership, and they have extensive history with executive benefit plans. And we were just serving that market. Mm-hmm. Then we got introduced to a few privately held, founder-led organizations, and that discussion was completely different. They still needed to incentivize and retain their key people, but the questions you have to bring to the table and the roadblocks you have to work through are what helped us build this idea of how do we work with a business owner on their succession plan that achieves three things: takes care of the company win, takes care of the key leaders, the people who think and act like owners but may not be, they still need to participate in the success they're helping create, and takes care of the business owner and their family as the business owner leaves out.
That's a lot. The families get overwhelmed with this, don't they? Mm-hmm. So this is a longer process. So if you have a salesperson involved in there and not an advisory firm, the question, and you really like them, is it necessary to get rid of them all the time, or can I guess I'm kind of answering this question myself, saying if they're not providing these services to begin with, why are you working with them? Boy, that's a harsh statement, because we have such respect. There's people who are doing great things out there product-wise, but they're really not taking care of the business.
Well, and it also is not that they're a bad advisor, but what are they given access to?
So they might not have the skill set. They may not
have the skill set. It may also be that they've been talking about it for 10 years, and the owner doesn't want to talk about it with that person anymore. Okay. And then you've got this outside firm that's like all of a sudden that's all they do.
Right.
And they're like, well, I'm going to switch to this group over here, or I'm going to talk to this group about this thing. Business owners, these founders, they often like to compartmentalize.
Oh, so they get distracted.
Well, not distracted, but intentionally saying, I'm going to have the succession planning conversation with advisor A. I'm going to have the investment advisory decision with advisor B. I'm going to do insurance with advisor C. I'm going to do this with the legal, this with the tax.
That's not necessarily the way to go, is it?
It intentionally creating all of the story. The only person that holds the entire story is the founder.
And they better have been skilled
at
this.
They do that with their family members.
Yeah.
They do that with their advisors. They do that with their team. And we call that getting the founder out of the middle of the circle.
Yeah.
And if the founder doesn't want to do that, if they like being the center, then it's not going to end well. And it's not a good use of anybody else's time.
That's a recipe for destruction.
Yeah.
And the advisor, like, can they, I guess, graduate? Yeah. They have to be bold enough and confident enough to kind of rock the boat.
Right.
Because a lot of times it'll be self-preservation. Oh, I've gotten pushback. I need to stay in my lane. Well, are you really doing the best thing for the business owner by not kind of raising the question and trying to say, I get that you told me this. I really can't.
Yeah.
And you don't want me to do that. And here's why.
Well, are you finding that business owners want to hear the story from someone with a southern drawl, or and they don't like the northernites? Do you think that's part of capacity why you guys are so prolific in this space?
We're actually masters of accents.
Is
so,
that
it?
Yeah.
We can do British if we need to.
Oh, please don't.
Okay.
All right.
That one's never worked.
So what brought us together, what brought our relationship, our partnership together, is that you guys are so fantastic in this space, and I want to commend you for that.
Thank you.
It is something that is impressive because you hang in there in the emotional, what would destroy an entire business. Why don't they make it to the next generation? You guys are solving that problem. We've done that on a smaller scale, but now with our relationship together, I'm excited to see where we're going to go with this in the future. So for those that might be listening today, check out Legacy Partners, Alpharetta, Georgia, also Financial Essentials in Butler, Pennsylvania, because quite frankly, I think between the two firms, we're in like 35 states with client base.
Yeah.
So technology has been a wonderful thing, and I really appreciate you coming here and visiting with us today.
Thanks for
Thank you,
having
Mark.
us.
Appreciate everything.